Democratic governors in red states like Kentucky and Kansas have been warning of the consequences if Republican lawmakers in Congress do pass this massive budget bill, as they are expected to do a short time from now. Those leaders say it would take health care and food assistance away from Americans who need it most. The bill cuts Medicaid, as we've been telling you, by $930 billion. It also cuts another $285 billion in food assistance. The Congressional Budget Office estimates nearly 12 million Americans will become uninsured by the year 2034 if the bill becomes law, and 3 million more will not qualify for food stamps known as SNAP benefits. Joining us now is the Democratic governor of Kentucky, Andy Beshear. Governor, thanks for joining us this morning. As we've been discussing for the last several hours, it does look like Speaker Mike Johnson has the votes among Republicans to get this bill through, to get it on the desk of the President of the United States, who says he will sign it by the 4th of July. As you read through the details of this massive piece of legislation, what will be the impacts in your state?
Oh, it's going to be devastating. This is the day that Donald Trump and the Republican Party are telling the American people, especially in rural America, that they don't care about us. You look at what's going to happen in my state. 200,000 of my people are going to lose their health care coverage. 20,000 health care workers are going to lose their job. This is the Republican majority firing Americans that right now have a good job. And 35 rural hospitals may close, which is going to impact every single community they're in. What people don't know about rural hospitals is that they're typically the largest or the second largest employer in their communities. So you lose all those jobs, and every small business in rural America is going to be impacted by having fewer people, less dollars cycling through. And then when you think about worker productivity for America,
everyone knows how bad this bill is. I know it. You know it. Even the Republicans in the House and the Senate who are voting for this bill know and will tell you just how bad it is. It seems like the only person who doesn't understand that is Donald Trump. And it's not just because he doesn't care that people are going to be kicked off their health care, that people won't have access to SNAP benefits, that he is breaking the fundamental promise of his campaign that he would lower cost. No. It's because Donald Trump doesn't remember. Donald Trump quite literally doesn't know. And that was all revealed in a scandal that is exposing the cognitive decline we've been talking about for so long by Republicans. We are going to get into it all. But before we do, I want to start with what's happening right now in Congress, and that is Hockey Jeffrey fighting back against this bill. And I want to take a look right here.
And in the second paragraph of this letter dated April 14th, 2025, Mr. Speaker, these 13 members of the House Republican Conference make this extraordinary representation. It says, however, we cannot and will not support a final reconciliation bill that includes any reduction in Medicaid coverage for vulnerable populations. This bill represents the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. It will devastate vulnerable populations all across America. And so the reality is, all 212 House Democrats are going to stand up and protect the health care of the American people. We're going to protect the Medicaid of the American people against this assault on vulnerable communities. And I'm looking forward to all 13 of you joining us to protect the health care of the American people that you represent. That's the promise, Mr. Speaker, that your Republican colleagues made in this April letter. What's changed? We're looking forward to all 13 Republicans in this letter joining us to protect the Medicaid of the American people.
Leader Jeffrey has been talking on the floor for hours now, and Republicans are furious. So much of the reason that they want to pass this bill, besides the fact that Donald Trump wants to throw himself a 4th of July party, is because they are more worried about themselves and getting home to enjoy their summer vacation with their families than they are doing the actual job of service. Do they realize that because they're ripping people's health care away, they will spend less time with their families, more time working to be able to afford higher premiums, more time away being sick because of a broken health care system? Do they not understand that or care? Clearly not. But like I said, Donald Trump doesn't even understand that. Or, no, Jamie Raskin pointed it out right here, which was then followed by this break-in report we're going to get into.
Personal privilege, because the President of the United States tonight decided to attack you directly on his social media account. I don't have it in front of you. There were some very ugly words in front of me used about you. You may have seen it. But what is your response to Donald Trump? One of the things he said is, you don't understand this tax bill, and you never will. Is it possible, Congressman Raskin, that Donald Trump understands this tax bill better than you do, even though we have reports from the Oval Office that Donald Trump doesn't think that this bill is cutting Medicaid? That's what some Republicans have said about what he has said today.
Well, that's precisely how I think I upset him, Lawrence. I simply said, if the president is lecturing the Republicans that they should never touch Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security, he clearly does not know what's in his own bill. And I didn't lob that at him as an accusation, but simply as a statement, because he would not be saying those things if he understood that that's what their bill does. They're talking about throwing 17 million Americans off of their health insurance. It's a $1 trillion cut in Medicaid. Meantime, he's telling them that they shouldn't be touching Medicaid. So I pointed that out. Apparently, it came to his attention, and he just launched into one of his inimitable diatribes. I suppose I don't mind being called a loser several times by Donald Trump, given that he's our only president who has lost the popular vote for president in 2 different elections. And the last time, when he lost by more than 7 million votes to Joe Biden, it upset him so much that he incited an insurrection against the Constitution, against his own vice president, and against the Congress of the United States. And so, that one doesn't trouble me so much. I suppose I don't like being called ugly by Donald Trump, but not everybody can live up to his exquisite levels of handsomeness and personal physical grace. And so that I would consider myself probably in the large majority of American men who simply can't live up to the exquisite standards that he set and his extraordinary popularity with American women.
We covered this morning, but Donald Trump freaked out last night on Truth Social as Jamie Raskin made a very probably likely accusation that Donald Trump doesn't even know or understand what's in this bill. Now, that could be because he didn't read it. Donald Trump doesn't really know how to read, and the thing is, 900 pages. But a recent report that came out yesterday detailing Republican members of Congress who went to the White House to speak to Donald Trump about this bill, it leaks their conversation and just shows that Donald Trump might be completely out of it. But we are touching Medicaid. Trump confused about what's in his mega bill. Donald Trump appears to not be entirely clear on the scope of the health care cuts in his big, beautiful bill. He has aggressively lobbied Republicans in Congress to pass, notice reported on Wednesday, and he had to be reminded of it by a handful of Republican lawmakers in a meeting behind closed doors. The bill passed by the Senate in a narrowly divided vote on Tuesday morning is currently awaiting final passage in the House as GOP leaders attempt to smooth over fractional disagreements to proceed to a final roll call. It cuts over $1 trillion from Medicaid, food assistance, and green energy credits, while extending tax breaks for the wealthy, massively boosting immigration enforcement funding, and adding over $2 trillion to the federal deficit. Trump hosted a meeting with some moderates and some members of the mainstream caucus on Wednesday, where he listened to concerns and touted the wins in the legislation. Two sources told Notice, reported Riley Roger and Reese Gorman. However, Trump still doesn't seem to have a firm grasp about what his signature legislative achievement does. According to three sources with direct knowledge of the comments, the president told Republicans at the meeting that there are three things Congress shouldn't touch if they want to win elections: Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. At this, one of the Republicans in attendance piped up and reminded him, "But we are touching Medicaid in this bill." As early as February, Trump proclaimed he would not cut Medicaid, even as he endorsed a House budget blueprint that all but guaranteed significant cut to the public insurance program. In response to the new report, White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson said the bill takes decisive action to protect Medicaid generations to come by eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse in the program. Donald Trump is committed to protecting Medicaid for the vulnerable Americans who rely on it most. Yeah. No, obviously, that's a lie. He's not protecting Medicaid. He's throwing people off of their insurance, and he doesn't even seem to understand that he's doing that. He just doesn't get it. He's confused. He's forgotten. His brain is pudding. It's any of those reasons, but it's incredibly concerning. Republicans would make up stories that this is what Joe Biden was like at the end of his presidency, while at the same time Kevin McCarthy admitting multiple times during their negotiations that Biden had outsmarted him. If there was a report of a Democrat saying that they had to remind President Biden what was in his own budget, how would the mainstream media treat that? This is a clear scandal of Donald Trump's cognitive ability. And somehow, the mainstream press doesn't want to cover it as just they don't want to cover the fact that Donald Trump is ripping health care away from millions of people. They haven't covered it nearly to the extent that they should. But someone who is making sure that they do is Governor Andy Beshear, who we recently had on the show, but he was on MSNBC this morning.
It's going to take a nosedive because now you got to drive 2 hours to go see a doctor, not just for your appointment, but for your kids and your parents. And when your parent or grandparent gets kicked off Medicaid because they did not check a box, you're going to have to bring them into your own home, take time off of work, and ultimately pay for their medical expenses out of pocket. This is just crazy. It's going to hit Democrats, Republicans, independents. It's going to hammer the U.S. economy. This is the worst bill I've seen in my lifetime.
So as you grapple with this, what seems to be inevitable, that this is coming your way and to states across the country, how do you plug those holes as the governor of Kentucky? If 35 rural hospitals are closing in your state, what do you do about that on the state level?
No state has the budget to fix what the federal government that Donald Trump and the Republicans are about to break. No state can make up for hundreds of billions of dollars of Medicaid payments flowing through our economy. If you just look at the economy at large, healthcare is one of the fastest growing segments out there. And this is the Republicans just taking a hatchet to it. We're going to see job losses across America. And listen, we're going to do our best. We're going to do our best to plug some holes where we can. But even when you look at food assistance, which, my faith teaches me that in a country that grows enough food for everybody, nobody should starve. I mean, the miracle of the fishes and the loaves is in every book of the gospel. But look at what they're doing. Seniors and children are going to go to bed and wake up hungry. That's just wrong. And just the administrative costs pushed on Kentucky is an extra $66 million.
I'm glad that we have a red state governor highlighting just how disproportionately affected Republicans will be by this. Betrayal by Donald Trump to point out the fact he simply does not care about you. That is their politics. It is a petty one that serves them as individuals and their billionaire donors, and that's it. And we have to continue to call that out. We're certainly going on this show. Thanks for watching this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I'll see you soon.